you checked out all the new handicappers at Wager Talk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at Wager Talk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to wagertalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.
What's up, guys? It is Wednesday, also known as Hump Day. We are about halfway through the week and looking forward to breaking down 3 games for you today in the National Hockey League. Yesterday was a jam-packed day on the ice, and of course, as the NHL schedule makers always do, they follow that up with a very small slate. So just 3 games to break down. We do have some good ones to get into. We have the Prez joining us, of course, in his usual Wednesday spot here on the show. And other than that, guys, we want to remind you guys about all the specials going on right now at wagertalk.com, of course, over at sportsmemo.com. And it's really just a busy time with college basketball, NBA, of course, NHL, NFL. Check out our app, Wager Talk TV. You can get that on iOS, Android, Roku. There's so many different spots you can get it. And each show is giving out so many different coupon codes right now. I think Prez gave out a great one yesterday for Drew Martin on Wager Talk today. So make sure you're tuning into all of our shows right now. It's a jam-packed time of the year to be a sports fan and sports bettor. And Carm, as far as sports betting goes in the National Hockey League, you had a big night on the ice last night, man. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. I had 5 plays across 3 totals. Minnesota continued to go under, and that game didn't look like it was going to go under when it was 2-0 in the first period early on for Nashville. But the game finishes, I think, 2-1, and then a couple of overs. The Sabres won, which I think you had as well too, and then the Leafs won. That early on, I thought this is an easy win. Both the Leafs and Pittsburgh were playing such sloppy hockey, but you got to give them credit. By the time they hit like the last 5 or 6 minutes of the second period, they really buckled down and they were playing a pretty tight game. And I needed the empty netter to get there, but I got there in a couple props in that late game, including the show best bets on Dominic Kubalik. So 5-0 night. I'm pretty happy about it, and now a 10-0 NHL run. Andrew, and we go through small streaks, we go through big streaks. I can't remember the last time I had an NHL. I've had 4, 5, 6, 7 game streaks, not a 10-game streak. Do we have a graphic for how long it's been since I've had a streak that long? Yes, it's been a long time, Andrew. With that said, 84 years is almost the amount of time it's been since the Leafs last won a cup, which brings us to our next guest, the always colorful, the Prez. What's going on, Prez?
I was just trying to calculate when Buffalo won a cup last. Oh, I'm excited to be here. That lady, she looks youthful compared to when Buffalo Sabres won a cup last. She's like, she should be on TikTok in a bikini. Anyway, Carm, way to go on your night. I'm thrilled for that. Excellent stuff. I also won my hockey game last night. And, Andrew, I got a promo. I got it made yesterday. I'm having such an incredible hockey season right now. I'm 14-5. 14-5 in my 4% NHL plays. I'm 75% in all my totals on the season, and I am 64% in NHL on the year, up a smidge under 30 units on the year. And I'm seeing it, man. Yesterday on Wager Talk today, I gave out 3 NHL plays, all 3 won. I'm really in the zone right now over what's going on this hockey season. And I came on with a promo. It's Prez 399. That's Prez 399. And that's my entire hockey season and playoffs for $399, which is a ridiculously good deal. It works out to like $2 a day or something. So $399. The promo code is Prez 399. Thanks for putting that up, Dan. Glad to be doing the show with you boys.
Well done, Prez. Fantastic run for you. And it's one of the reasons why Bettman only puts 2 or 3 games on Wednesdays. He knows you're on the show and he wants you to express yourself, which you just did. So continue on, my friend. And throw it back to the captain of the ship, Andrew.
Well, you guys, I got to catch up to you guys. I mean, I was on an exciting 3-0 run going into yesterday. So I'm going to try.
Hey, you kicked all our asses last year, dude. And we're only like a month and a half into the season. So relax.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of time, but it's competitive. You know, lots of great hockey handicappers here at Wager Talk, and it's been a funny year as far as NHL goes as well. Let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres and Ottawa Senators matchup here tonight, guys. When you take a look at this matchup, initially, what sticks out, I think, to everybody would just be goals, right? I mean, yesterday, cashed my show best bet with the over in the Buffalo and Vancouver game. Of course, total at this one is 6.5. We do have Ottawa being favored by a -170, Buffalo plus 140 or 145. And you take a look at this game, and really Ottawa has been slumping. But I've talked about it on the show, Carm, that I really think that they're slumping, but they haven't really gotten blown out by many teams. You know, they just can't seem to hang on. They can't seem to make that play in the third period. And when that's happening, it's not really a team that you want to put your money on, let alone put your money on when they're -170, you know? And I said on the last show that I liked the under in that game against the Isles, even when they were missing Thomas Chabot. But one thing I forgot about is that Thomas Chabot not only brings defense to that team, he brings offense as well as an offensive defenseman. Of course, there's the factor of Buffalo playing the second game in as many nights. But how much does that go into this number here at -170 is my question. I think the easy way to look at things is expecting a goal fest here, similar to what we saw in Vancouver or with the Vancouver game last night in Buffalo. But I'm actually going to take a shot at the barking dog here at plus 145 with the Buffalo Sabres. This is a pure value play for me, for Ottawa to prove me wrong and see a full 60 minutes out of them. And I think Buffalo, hey, they're scoring goals right now. They're competing for a full 60. Their defense might not be all there, but they're certainly putting in an effort. So for me, it'd be a lean to the over and Buffalo at that plus 145 price, Carm. So an underdog start out the show for me. What do you think here?
Ooh, Andrew, I like it. I'm not going to take it, but I'm not going to take it because I don't dislike it. It's, you know, look, someone has to win this game. And you look at Ottawa, and obviously a lot of off-season pickups for this team. They just haven't seemed to put anything together. There's a lot of talent there. At some point, they're going to start to win some games, but it's been an ugly streak for them thus far. 7 in a row, they finally beat the Flyers, who are dropping some games themselves, as your sell team, of course. And then they lose to the Isles. You know what I mean? Like, they're 2-8 their last 10. 7 of those 8 losses, they've allowed 4 or more goals in. And now you have the Sabres come in, who have lost 6 straight. Even when the Sabres were winning, we talked about it. And I said, you know what I mean? They've got a good team. They compete. Granado's doing a great job coaching this team, but it's unsustainable for this team to be winning games at that clip. I just didn't think they would go on a 6-game losing streak, but that's where they are now. They've lost 6 in a row. 5 of those, they've allowed 4+ goals. And they're on a back-to-back here. They've only had one back-to-back, and that was against Tampa, where they lost 5-3. So you're sensing a theme, which is the goal theme. But I'm going to take it one step further, as I think Ottawa at home catching a Sabres team that is coming in off of a back-to-back. And I think the Sens are in need of a win. I like the team total here for the Sens. It's 3.5, and I think they get there on this one. You're only laying a $1.25. Sometimes you're not going to take a team, you're not going to take a side, you're going to look for something else or within that game that you think has value. And I think the Ottawa team total has value here, much like I thought the New Jersey Devils team total yesterday in Montreal of 3.5 had value. So Ottawa Senators over 3.5 minus 125 is my play here.
Carm, what makes you stay off the full game over then? If you like their team total over, I'm just curious, specifically in this game where we see both teams usually giving up goals.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the Sabres being flat off that game last night. Now, it was a fast-paced game, and I think we might be reliant on only the Ottawa Senators scoring tonight to get that game over the total. The Sabres have had a few games during this streak where the six-game losing streak where they haven't scored goals. They have scored, but like losing 3-1 to the Bruins, losing 4-1 to Arizona. So there are some games within that. There have been some high totals, but there are some games where they failed to find the back of the net. If they hadn't played last night, I'd probably be on the full game total here. Ottawa total seemed to be a good one at the moment, but I just think that Ottawa gets 4 tonight, and that should be good enough. I don't have to sweat two teams getting there.
Right. Prez, what do you think here? High-scoring game, underdog type of game, or does Ottawa snap out of their streak?
I got no issue with any of the things all three of you guys said. Ottawa.
All three of us.
Both of you. Well, you said three things. Listen, it's way too early for me. You said three things. You like the over. You like Buffalo. And Carm likes the team total for Ottawa over.
Yeah.
I have no problem with any of those bets, to be honest with you. I mean, I like the over in this game. I really, one of the angles that I've been playing this year is these young teams when they play against each other to go over the total. Now we have two very, very young teams, both stacked with talent and struggling to find defense. I think this game 7 out of 10 times goes over. So I like the over, but I also like Buffalo as well. I think there's more talent on Buffalo, not more, deeper talent on Buffalo than Ottawa. And Ottawa defensively is a total mess. Kari Lene writes, no wonder Prez doesn't play totals. Can't count. 75% in totals this year. 75. And so Carrie, you are wrong, but you are right. I can't count. I like Buffalo here as well. I think Andrew and Carm, I think this Buffalo team is much better than their record. I think they're much better than their losing streak. I think this is a bye team, to be honest with you. I think this is a team that I think is going to contend for that 8th playoff spot. I don't think Ottawa is going to contend for the 8th playoff spot, and I don't think Ottawa is a bye team. I think they're a long way. Their defense is terrible. Truman Underwood, Tage Thompson hat-trick. Tage Thompson, man, is this guy playing well. There are so many talented freaking goal scorers on Buffalo. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They need a goalie. But I'm with you guys, all three of you. I have no problem with taking all three of the bets that the two of you gave out.
I'll tell you what, it's pretty cool watching Tage Thompson because I think he's like 6'5" or 6'6" on skates. And
when was he drafted?
I'm not
2
sure
years
how old he
ago.
is. I was gonna say a couple years ago. Not very long, but I think like this year has definitely been like his showcase year so far. It seems like, yeah. But it's pretty cool, like how he's like 6'5" or 6'6", the separation he's able to create, right? He always pushes the puck up and is able to keep it on his stick because he's so much longer than everybody else.
Right.
And I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, and like Cole Caulfield's having a good year, but one thing about him, he's so small that he has that quick release because he's so short, but his stick is so small that it's hard for him to really stick handle through anybody because he can't really create separation. His stick is like, 3 feet long. So Tage Thompson definitely has that advantage, that's for sure. But I'm with Prez about the defense for Ottawa. It's just not been there. Their offense is there, but the defense is just not there. Yeah. What's up, Carm?
The Blues drafted him the Blues drafted him in 2016. He really didn't have any type of a good season until last year, where he scored, like for the Sabres, he scored like 38 goals last year for them. He's got 11 already this year, so he's on pace, I think, at the very least match that. But they've got more scoring this year, which is a good thing about them, and I think they're better coached.
Yeah, Andrew, totally off topic. I was looking last night at the scoring leaders. Florida Panthers. Where do you think their best scoring the scoring leader on the Florida Panthers sits in the NHL?
Like the Florida, like where does the best player in Florida sit as far as the league goes? I'll say like I'll take a dark horse, 17th, 16th,
28th, and it's Tkachuk, and he's under a point a game. Florida Panthers have nobody in the top 27 in scoring, and you know who else doesn't? The Leafs. What an interesting year.
It is, but I'll tell you, Prez, I think that as far as the Leafs are concerned, I actually think that might not be a bad thing for them. Like, if you notice, they've been like their goal production is down this year, but their style of play has changed, which I think could benefit them. You know, I think that there's a reason behind their goal production being their goals per game being down. That's why I think that some people that only look at stats, not any of you guys, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, the Leafs are playing a different style of hockey, which is preventing them from, you know, putting up 3-4 goals on average per game. And with Florida, I just think that they lost that trade big time, guys. Huberdeau gone. I mean, Mackenzie Weegar gone. I mean, the fact of the matter is Tkachuk is good for the playoffs. He's physical and stuff, whatever, but he's not a talented goal scorer like Huberdeau is. That's for sure. Yeah. He can't replace
the Leafs. Yesterday was like, I think only the fourth time this season the Leafs have scored 4 goals or more in a game, right? So they're not really scoring goals. But to your point, Andrew, I get it. Listen, right now it looks like it was a lopsided deal. I just think that when you make a deal for big players like these teams made, that you now need to find your new identity. Your identity has changed.
Right.
The Florida needs to find their identity. They don't have one right now. They had one with Huberdeau.
That's a good point.
So the good thing is it's an 82-game season. You have plenty of time to figure it out because they have enough talent on that team that they're going to make the playoffs. You just need to figure it out sooner rather than later, right? Or you end up in a wild card spot or third in your division, and no home ice for the first 2 or 3 rounds of the NHL playoffs.
Yeah, but and also, Andrew, just a couple of things on that. Firstly, we have to give a longer sample size to who won that trade. And secondly, Huberdeau was coming to the end of his contract. We don't know if Florida could afford him or couldn't have afforded him. We didn't know if he would sign or wouldn't sign with Florida. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into play here when discussing that trade. For me, I'm not, I love the Tkachuk. So, man, I wish they could figure out a way to get both of them on the same team. Those are like my kind of players, man. They're like a smiling version of Brad Marchand.
Yeah, you got to get a couple of those guys on the Leafs. Not a guy like Pierre Engvall that wouldn't kill a spider in my house. That's what you need. A couple of players like him. Tkachuk, because those are the players every team needs. I mean, yeah, but they're hard to find though, players like that. And to Carm's point, even though they're not looking like that team right now, maybe they will be come playoff time that they want to be. So let's jump into our next game here. The Blues and Blackhawks. Prez, we're going to go to you for your thoughts here on this one. We have this Blackhawks team at plus 145, the Blues 170, minus 170, total at 6. And just really quick, I mean, when you look at this game, the Blues were a team that wasn't getting production for their top guys. They weren't getting any scoring. And really, their goaltenders were underperforming. You had a Chicago team that started the year off quite the opposite, surprising us with a little bit of goal scoring. Got a couple wins we didn't expect them to get. And now the roles are reversed. Both teams are kind of shaping into what we probably thought they were going to look like. So what do you think here in this matchup, Prez? Does St. Louis continue to roll?
Yes. St. Louis should be a bye team for everybody. Look, they started the season so badly. but this is a team that has consistently made the playoffs and consistently have done well. Chicago is a team that in their head office, they're trying to, they've already got Connor Bedard's name somewhere. So, ultimately, this is a team that, from a head office perspective, is not trying to win. Obviously, the players want to win and the coaches want to win, but man, this team is god-awful. Obviously, they can win games. They just beat Anaheim 3-2. They beat the LA Kings 2-1. This is hockey. Bad teams win games. They've won 3 of their last 10. But I got to believe that Craig Berube is going to have this Kings team firing on all cylinders. They've got to be feeling good about themselves. Not only have they won their last 3 games, guys. One was against Colorado and one was against Vegas, and both were on the road. This is a team that's feeling good about themselves. They're coming into this game. They've got to turn their season around. It's not like if St. Louis was 8-6 instead of 6-8, this would be a bad spot for them, but it's not. I like St. Louis in regulation at -105.
All right, Prez looking towards St. Louis here, and they certainly are a bye team. In Chicago, I think that if these teams are playing again in, let's say, February, St. Louis is not -170, Carm. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100% on that. I like Prez's play of the Blues in regulation because it's literally what I have there. Normally, I would think, this could be a bad spot for the Blues at the tail end of their road trip, having had big wins in Vegas and in Colorado. Two spots where I thought they would win off of that losing streak when they finally broke that losing streak against the San Jose Sharks. But the thing is here, they're playing catch up right now because of that 8-game losing streak that they had. And to your point of even looking at the total, I'm going to lean the under here just because they kept Colorado and Vegas, 2 teams that are scoring goals. They kept them to 2 each in those games, and you have a Blackhawks team, like you guys mentioned, are starting their regression now down the standings. And you look at their last 4 games, and they couldn't score against the Canes. They couldn't score against the Jets. They got 1 against the Kings and 3 against the Anaheim Ducks, and everyone scores on the Anaheim Ducks right now. So it's just the Blues. I don't want to lay that big price, which is why I'll lay the regulation. I think the Blues get it done, and then the Blues quickly head home because they play the second of a back-to-back tomorrow against the injured Washington Capitals, or depleted Washington Capitals. So I'm on the Blues -105 in regulation here, Andrew.
And for me, I'm just going to look at the under. Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the side here. Just going to look at the under 6. St. Louis, I think a lot of their success has come off their defense really sharpening up, as well as their goaltending. Of course, they have started to see some production from top guys like Ryan O'Reilly and Jordan Kyrou that they weren't getting at the start of the season. But the main focal point for me, again, is against these big teams like you guys just talked about, being able to keep them to low numbers, including a team like Colorado, which I do think is very impressive. And then you go ahead and play a team like Chicago. If they even give half the defensive effort they gave against Colorado, Chicago might not even score a goal. So I just think that Chicago just lacks scoring depth, and I get it. They could be potentially, fired up and looking to bounce back after a pretty poor performance against the Carolina Hurricanes. But the fact of the matter is, I don't see 7 goals in this game. I don't see 6 goals in this game. I see kind of maybe a 3-1 win for the Blues, 4-1 maybe. I do think the Blues get the job done as well. I just do not think this is a good matchup for the Chicago Blackhawks whatsoever. And it's a good point to mention the road trip, and it's a good point to mention the scheduling standpoint. But this team, I just don't feel like this could be a flat spot for them. But I'll stick with the under here and take them. And also to mention, the goaltending really hasn't been too bad for the Chicago Blackhawks. Soderblom is confirmed for the Blackhawks. He has a 2.6 goals against average. And Jordan Binnington, despite his team giving up a bunch of goals to start the year off, His goals against average is 3.07 and save percentage of 0.90. So it's not too bad for him, and he's only getting better. So I like under 6 in this one here. Carm, you had some closing thoughts?
Yeah. Yeah, and when you talk about the goaltending, I get it. You look at St. Louis, and because they're on a back-to-back, you would think maybe they want to start Thomas Greiss in goal tonight against a Chicago team that's not scoring much, and then have Binnington at home against the Washington Capitals. But then after that game tomorrow, they've got a day off, and then 2 games in the next 3 days. And Binnington probably starts those. So I think it's best to put Binnington in tonight, give him the day off tomorrow, get Greiss in at home, which is probably better for him as well too. And you give Binnington off of this road trip a little bit of rest after tonight before he plays the next 2 games for them. But to your point of, and we've discussed this, Andrew, before we get on to the final game and our best bet segment, is Chicago is now starting to do what we expected. You and I talked about Philadelphia were winning at the beginning of the season. Chicago were winning at the beginning of the season. These are 2 teams where the books set very low point totals for them. We figured they would be near the bottom, but they won at the beginning. But we said it's not sustainable. At some point, these teams are going to start to lose. And you made a good point in making Philly your sell team. They're starting to lose games. Chicago's starting to lose games, and you've got to look at spots to bet against them. A lot more so than betting on them. The problem is that they're always going to be, whoever's playing them is always going to be minus 170, minus 180, minus 190 and up, I think, from this point forward. So you have to start looking at those regulation lines a little more, because laying that type of vig is going to kill your bankroll in the event one of these teams picks up a win or a couple wins in a row. So be mindful of your bankroll, guys.
Yeah, Andrew, before we get into the next game, I'd like to make a very important public announcement.
Let's hear it.
I just want to let everybody know, after long deliberation and thought, I have decided to run again for the Prez. I feel like I am the Prez. I've been a good Prez. I have a lot of really good ideas as the Prez. And on an important day like this, let everybody know that as we approach 2023, I would like to be reelected the Prez.
Prez 399. Get Prez NHL season for $399. I'm sure that does not last for too long. So take advantage of that special while you can.
It will go to my campaign financing, Prez for Prez 2023.
I got to ask you this then. If there was someone to be running against you at Wager Talk, who are you going head to head with?
Nobody would run against me. All I'll do is call them names. I'll just call them names until they go away. I'm the Prez.
You put Andrew. I know we need to get on to the next game because we're going to run out of time and we're going to get some messages. But I would nominate Kelly Stewart. If Kelly runs against the Prez, Kelly wins hands down. And this guy's talking about rigged elections. But with that said, let's not spring a leak here. Let's talk about the Edmonton Oilers.
Let's talk about the Edmonton Oilers here as they're minus 145 favorites tonight. The LA Kings, short dogs here, plus 125, total 6.5, heavily shaded towards the over, and not really too surprised to see that. This is a game that I think should be really, really close. You know, there's a big issue going on right now in Edmonton with their goaltending, no matter who it really is in net, if it's Jack Campbell or if it's a second or third stringer, if it's Skinner, it's just not going great for them right now. As far as the LA Kings are concerned, though, I have them labeled as an over team. And Prez, I actually gave you a shout out on the show the other day because you talked about this, how certain teams like the Kings are changing from being unders to over teams, including the Dallas Stars now, which I thought was just shocking. But I had the over as a best bet, over 6 in the Calgary game versus LA a couple days ago, guys. That one flew over. We saw 11 goals here. It's hard to really not look in that same direction in another LA game, especially against an Edmonton team. But when I take a look at this matchup here, I kind of want to just take the side. And where I want to look is the home team. The thing is that there's so much talent there for Edmonton. The top six for them, I think it was an adjustment for them with not having Evander Kane with that awful, injury that happened with him. But I think that we're actually seeing production from the second and third line, not just McDavid and Draisaitl. And to me, that's the only time I ever really want to bet on the Oilers. And I'm seeing that a little bit right now. As far as this Kings team is concerned, look, they had one of their best performances offensively I've seen. And unfortunately, they still lost against Calgary. So what's kind of sad about this team is that they've turned into a better offensive team, but in the process, they've gotten weaker defensively. So I'm going to look to take advantage of that and take Edmonton at home after they've had a couple just misleading games, a couple tough ones here. You take a look at Edmonton. I mean, they give up 7 against Carolina, then they win against Florida, and they win against Tampa, and then they lose to Washington. This team is desperate. They're itching for any type of consistency. They're playing at home. I think this is a game that they get done here. So I'll take Edmonton at home here. We'll start with you, Carm, and then go to Prez, and then we'll wrap this show up with some best bets.
All right. I think there's going to be goals in this one as well too, Andrew, but I'm looking at a shot prop one in this one. Listen, you've got Edmonton coming home off a 4-game East Coast trip where they went 2-2, and it was one with a lot of travel from Tampa up to Carolina, back down to Florida, and it started in Washington. So they went up and down the East Coast, 4 games, come home for this one. They've been off a couple of days, and we talked about the Dallas Eakins comment on science with players that off an East Coast or West Coast trip, it takes players a day for every hour of the time change to get back to peak plane shape. But with that said, you got the Kings. Kings have been waiting in Alberta. They played the first half of the Alberta double 2 days ago, losing 6-5 to the Calgary Flames. But they never gave up in that game. They're going to score their goals. And these are two teams that remember each other because they played that 7-game series in the playoffs last year, which was a bad series for defense other than the 2-0 game 7. These teams were scoring goals, but it had more to do with the bad goaltending they had, and neither team's improved. The Oilers, you can almost make a case that the Oilers have gotten worse with Jack Campbell in net thus far. We'll see how he goes, but it just seems like every goalie coming out of Toronto is like an air freshener in a bad car. You just keep tossing them out. Mrazek, Reimer. The only goalie that's come out of Toronto that's been any good thus far is Freddie Anderson. And now you have Jack Campbell, he's letting in soccer balls would get by him. It's just unbelievable with this team. I'm going with the shot prop here. Andrew, I'm taking Trevor Moore over 2.5 shots, minus I think 125. He's 6-3 in road games, going over that number of 2.5 on the shot totals. And this is a game where I expect to see these teams going up and down. And on that second line right now with him and Arvidsson and Danault, he's getting shots on goal. He's getting quite a few shots on goal. So hopefully that second line gets it done for the Kings tonight with some shots on goal. Prez?
So quick story about the Calgary LA Kings game. I'm at my friend's house. Carm, you know him, Alan Patel. We're watching the game. I am on Calgary in regulation. It is a client release. It's Monday. So with $9 Mondays, I have like 10 times the amount of sales as I normally would have. It's 6-4 with 2 minutes to go in the game. LA Kings pull their goalie. Al turns to me and says, man, let's get some drama. Hope the Kings score here. I'm like, what? I don't want drama. Anyway, the Kings score. 1:30 to go in the game, and the Kings are down by a goal. I am pacing. They are moving the puck around in the offensive zone, and then Kopitar gets an open net with 21 seconds on the clock. And the Calgary goaltender slides across, and it hits him right under the arm. Total fluke save. I freaking lost my shit. So why am I telling you this? because I love Edmonton tonight. I consider that Calgary game, I don't want to say a win for the LA Kings, but man, like 9 out of 10 times that shot goes in. And then it's a tie game and they go to overtime. I look at this game and I say to myself, the Kings are a sell team for the next little while. I like the Kings overall. Don't get me wrong. I think they're much improved. But this is a team that won 3 games in a row before they lost to Calgary. They almost beat Calgary. They've won 6 of 10. And as we've spoken about, they are changing their style of play. I got to believe that this team is going to come in let down tonight. Edmonton is desperate to put a couple of wins together. 4-2 win against Florida was outstanding. Edmonton has goaltender problems. Now, I like how Carmine pointed out that all these shitty goalies come from the Leafs. He didn't point out that Trevor Moore comes from the Leafs, but just to let you know, Jack Campbell comes not from the Leafs. He just made a pit stop in Toronto. And Jack Campbell stinks. And he stunk during the time as a Leaf, and he stinks now. Skinner is playing tonight, guys, and he is on his way to being the starting goaltender for this team. I think we're going to see a monster effort from Edmonton. I think LA is going to win one of their next 3 games. I don't think it's going to be tonight. Take Edmonton and just take them on the money line. There's no reason to take them in regulation. I think it is minus 150. And ultimately, this game could go to overtime.
I'll tell you what, I think Shesterkin would stink if he had the defense of the Leafs or the Oilers, and same with Vasilevsky. So,
what are you talking about? The Leafs are going under every game. They have one of the best goals against in all of hockey. What shit are you spewing?
Along.
Does Campbell play for them right now? No, he played for them last year. It's always the goalie's fault, never the defense fault. Look, for me, on this game, though, I do agree that the Oilers are just going to outclass them. And kind of like what Prez said, I'm on the same page with him that the Kings had one of their best efforts they've had this season, and they couldn't come out with a win. It's hard to replicate that performance twice in a row. So I like the Oilers. I think it's a reasonable price. I would probably get on it sooner than later, but I'll take the home team. For me, and my best bet, guys, look, it's going to be the under in that Blackhawks and Blues game. I'll keep it short and sweet. I mean, right now, I can't count on the Blackhawks to score consistently. The Blues have been having better goaltending. Their defense has played a lot better, and they've gotten leads and protected them. They haven't been playing up and down hockey. So my best bet for the show, the St. Louis Blues, Chicago Blackhawks, under 6 goals. As far as what's going on for me at wagertalk.com, just one best bet I'm eyeing so far for clients. Might have one shot prop up that I am looking at. It is an under, actually. I've been betting a lot of overs with those props, but it is an under for tonight. Carm, over to you. Obviously, building off your big night last night and a big run you're on. What's going on for you at wagertalk.com?
Yeah, only one NHL play up for tonight. You can get that for 25 on my site. And of course, the World Cup is only 4 days away, so I'm looking forward to that. So that kicks off on Sunday at 11 a.m. World Cup package, you get every single play for $149 early bird price. Includes all plays, futures, props, right up to the finals, including 85% plays. As far as my best bet, yes, Trevor Moore did come from Toronto, but and that's why I didn't take him to score tonight. I took him 2.5 shots, over 2.5 shots, Andrew. Like I said, 16-3 to the over for him on the road in road games, and he's on that second line, and that second line's playing extremely well for the Kings. So let's look for some output tonight and over 2.5 shots in what we hope to be a pond hockey type of game, I think, between the three of us. So that is it for me.
Yeah, so for me, Andrew, firstly, you know who else comes from Toronto? Connor McDavid. Wayne Gretzky. Anyway, my best bet for tonight is St. Louis in regulation. I do want to re-emphasize, guys, if you're going to play my NHL, just buy the season package, $399. Use the promo code PREZ3. 9. It makes total sense. It's such a good deal. The stuff ends in frickin' June. So there's a long way to go. Also, Carmine is going to be on Wager Talk today with myself and Teddy. We also have Steve Merrill on that show and Art DeCesar. And on top of that, anybody watching Wager Talk today, starting on Monday, Carmine will be doing a video on the World Cup for that specific day. We will have it on Wager Talk today every single day. Yes, Bobby Orr is from Toronto too. Guys, it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. I enjoy Wednesdays. I do. I enjoy chopping it up. I almost like that it's only a few games. That way it gives us a little bit of space to talk about the league as a whole and discuss the NHL. The Prez, St. Louis in regulation. Don't forget to use that special promo for him to grab his NHL season. And taking a look at Carmine, he has the over 2.5 shots on goal for Trevor Moore. And I have the Blues and Hawks under 6. Thanks so much for watching. Wager Talk today coming up with Carmine, Prez, and Teddy at 12 o'clock Eastern Time.
Have you checked out all the new handicappers at Wager Talk? If not, here's your chance. You can take 50% off your first daily or 3-day all-access purchase at Wager Talk using coupon code TRYWT. Our new roster of experts is 30 deep, covering sports from all around the world, giving you tons of options to choose from. All you have to do to redeem this offer is go to wagertalk.com, choose a handicapper of your choice, and use coupon code TRYWT at checkout, saving 50% on your first purchase.